And go ahead and get us started today. So welcome everybody to our September check-in. There's our official DESE page there. And our community agreements, as always, stay engaged, trust in our good intentions. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. Expect some discomfort because we don't always like what's being said. But bring your identity and accept that we might not always get closure, but we'll work on it. And I read this somewhere this week. It said, it's not just doing the work, it's doing the right work. And I think we are all doing our best to do the right work. So that note taker. There's the link again to our note taker. I'll keep putting it in for a little bit. So I got that link in there. And welcome again to everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our September meeting. Of course, my phone's running. And we're going to do some, first off, reflection with some of those who attended our WIDA e-learning today, get some input on that. And then talk a little bit about the WIDA standards workshop series that we're going to kind of start through our check-ins each month. We'll do a little review of the standards document as a warm-up, and then dive into section 1, the 4 big ideas, and then have some closure, talking about what you might be committed to doing next, and then look at some resources. As always, we start out with our blueprint for success and what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to talk a little bit about our shared responsibility through those WIDA standards. All of this through our WIDA standards, asset-based teaching and learning, effective, well-prepared, and culturally responsive educators with having high standards for ELDs and the resources you need, and academic and linguistic supports as well. So those are some things we're going to look at through our lens of the new WIDA standards. So today we started a new series called the Language Specialist Engaging Multilingual Newcomers. With someone who participated, I know we have several that were participants in that session today. Would someone like to give us kind of an overview of what we discussed today? And then I just wanted to let everyone know we still have space available if you wanted to join us on part 2 and part 3. It won't be hard for you to get caught up with us. A couple of videos that we watched and a little bit of discussion, but you're perfectly able to continue with us and complete parts 2 and 3 if you're interested. So could I have a volunteer that would like to kind of fill us in on what we discussed today?
I would say the biggest takeaway was about building relationships with our families, getting to know them, building a trusting relationship, and letting them know that like the school is there and cares about them and their culture.
Thank you, Jennifer. I agree. We talked a lot about what we need to do to make them feel welcome and just getting to know them when we get started. Again, if you'd like to participate, there is still space available and I can plug you in so that you can join us for part 2 and part 3. Just send me an email. All right, so some updates from WIDA. These came through the mailing that we get each week on Wednesdays. October, they're having an Access for ELDs question and answer webinar. And these links are live. So when you log on to my slides, you can click those links to go and sign up for those webinars. They are free. And so those are the dates and times. There's also an invitation that was sent out to participate in the review of Access for ELDs test component development. So they're looking for, as it says here, fresh eyes and a unique perspective. So they're needing some input. And if you're interested, again, there's a link there on the slide that you can get more information from. So that's a little bit. And then they've also just pushed out this WIDA Spanish Language Arts Framework. It goes active tomorrow. It's called Marco ALE. And it's there's a lot of bilingual, so a lot of Spanish information there. All the documents are supposedly going to be written in both English and Spanish. So you can also join their team on Facebook and get more information through that. But another avenue that you can take to help your students through WIDA. Oh, okay. There was a little bit more information from a workshop that we attended with WIDA when they were discussing the access scores. They let us know that access scores, the number of participants was down about 30% in 2021, but they noted that there were not a lot of changes to our overall proficiency scores. And as I've said in the past, they have not changed in several years. They've been very consistent as to where our students lie on the proficiency scales. But they noted that there weren't noticeable changes between 2019, 2020, and 2021. They matched student growth and scale score gain. In grades 9 through 12, there was not significant difference at all. There was nothing very noticeable about the change. 6th grade, however, had negative growth last year. So that one was a big change. So of all the grade levels, they said 6th grade had a decline, and they're not really sure why. They're doing a little more, a deeper dive into that. Grades 1 through 8, significant. There was no significant decline, just a slight decline. Speaking was the most effective and the largest decline in growth of all the domains. So I thought that was interesting and information I would share with you from that meeting.
Hey, Cammie.
Yes, Rob.
The 30% is not Missouri, though. That's nationwide. I think our participation was close to usual.
Yeah, we were around 95% participation, but as a nation, WIDA participants overall, they were down 30%. Thank you for that clarification question.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, for today, what our overall goal in the next few check-ins, we're going to collaboratively unpack our 2020 standards to give you a better idea of how they work and the changes that have been made to them. So hopefully we'll do this collaboratively to learn more as a team. Identify some commitments for next steps. We'd like to have we'd like to go through this trainings to make you prepared to be able to implement them in the next school year if possible. So we're going to provide you with this open access sample agenda and PowerPoint. I'm going to give you all the information that you can take back to your district to use with classroom teachers, with your administrators, however you see fit to use it. So that's kind of the overall plan. Today, we're going to look at section 1, the big ideas, and kind of delve deeper into what they involve and what they include. And the thing about our big ideas, that's the best place to involve your leadership, your administrators, to give them the overview of what the new WIDA standards involve and look like. So that's the best place to involve them and give them information. So we're going to explain that overall design of the standards framework and look at some additional resources. And then our key question is, in what ways do the 2020 ELD standards enhance language instruction? So that's going to be what we're looking at as we go all the way through this. And I'm going to put the note taker link in one more time. If you would go in and sign in, let us know you're here. And it has the link to our hub where you can get the slides and everything. All right, so unpacking the plan. So the new standards have 6 components that we're going to look at. Those, number 1 is our big ideas, and then key language uses. And then we're going to look at the grade level clusters. And next, the proficiency level descriptors, the collaborative planning process, and then we're just going to look at some sample teaching and learning cycle activities. So you can see exactly what the standards offer us. So we're still in the rollout stage, as I said. Through this platform, we're going to try to engage you in some professional development activities to build some awareness of what the new standards entail and how you can use them with your classroom teachers. But don't let the new standards overwhelm you. We're going to do the best we can just to ease you into them and make you comfortable with them. And I think you will like the way that they're set up for going forward. Here I've given you the links to the standards. If you haven't already downloaded them, you can download them through this link. And then if you want to buy a copy of them, there's the link there to purchase a spiral bound copy of them for your library. So I've provided some hot links at the bottom of most of these as to what page in our new standards booklet these are found. This tells you the same standard statements that we've always had. They haven't changed. I mentioned this last time we got together. The only thing they've changed, they say the language is the language for language arts, the language for mathematics, instead of saying the language of mathematics. So they've decided that putting that word for makes it more specific, and that we're using this language for furthering understanding in those content areas. So they've made that one small change there. And you can, again, read more about it on page 9 and again on page 25 in the standards booklet. And we've also narrowed our scope from broad down to a narrow perspective. So we have the 4 components of our framework. It starts with the broad ELD standard statements, and then it goes a little bit deeper, talking about the key language uses, and then a little bit further about the language expectations or the goals for language learning. And then it gets very close and talks about the proficiency level descriptors, which is on that continuum of level 1 to level 6, what each student should be able to do by the end of each proficiency level. And again, there's that hot link at the bottom, and you'll find more information about this on page 23. And then also we have this example of identifying a language focus that I would almost advocate printing this and putting it up on your classroom wall as an example to look at, go back and look at it from time to time to help you with your planning and helping your students. So it's kind of like it replaces the model performance indicators that DESE no longer promotes. And this is their plan from going forward. They have your ELD standard, the key language use, the language expectation, that language function, and then some language features. And these are all in the new document. They don't give you prescriptive lessons, but they give you an overview and ways you can plug things in. And this was from page 246 in the manual. And then on the next part, they have that sample collaborative planning process where it takes you through the steps and gives you questions to ask to help you set up your daily lessons or your unit of instruction. So these are some things we're going to make our way through and look at. This is the overview. We have section 1, again, the big ideas. Section 2 deals with the key language uses. And section 3 looks at grade level cluster materials. Section 4 has resources where you can take a deeper look. And then the appendices give you an overview of how they set everything up, what research went into it, and then some definitions and some other helpful information. So WIDA's standards, our statement about this is that it's one way that we can attend to equity by noticing our approach, as this statement says. So here's my first question for you, and this is something to put in the chat. If you had a magic wand, what would this new 2020 ELD standards document be able to do for you and your students? So if you could make a wish and have it come true, what would you wish for this statement to do for you and your students? I'll let you drop that into chat for a minute. Give you a minute to type something. Those are both great. And clearly identify what to teach and when. The focus on content-specific language by grade level band is helpful. And help me to set individual goals for each student, provide ways to monitor progress. Both of those are great. Provide ways to monitor. Yes. Also a good idea. You want to keep typing and put something, we can look back at those in a little bit. So we're going to look today at the big ideas, and the big ideas are talking mostly about equity and how to make or provide opportunities and access to learning for our English language learners. It's talking about collaboration among stakeholders and that functional approach to language development. So here are the 4 things: equity of opportunity and access, integration of content and language, collaboration among the stakeholders, and the functional approach to language development. That functional approach is just making it visible and making learning visible for everyone. So here's a statement that comes from this section. It says, increasing equity for multilingual learners by providing common and visible language expectations in relation to grade level academic content. I'll let you read over that again. And I'd like for you to, in the chat, pick out one word that really stands out to you from this statement. Read it again and pick out one word that speaks to you. Expectations, visible, equity, common, equity. Beth, would you mind unmuting and telling us why you picked the word equity?
Sure. I think it's just such a struggle that we have, not only, equity between grade levels, but also even just within one grade level, one student needs as opposed to what another student needs, and trying to find the time to really provide each student what they need. It's definitely not the same thing, but it needs to be equitable for each student that we're trying to teach.
Yeah, very well said. I agree. Anyone else want to comment on their word before we move on? Okay, so this was talking about equity of opportunity and access. Number 2 is that integration of content and language. And this is a statement from that section. It says academic content as context for language learning and language as a means for learning academic content. So read that, mull that over for a bit, and pick out something that stands out to you in this statement. Same process again. Context, yes. Language, context. Oh, language as a means, yes. Context. Means for learning. Lynn, can you tell us why you picked the word context? Are you able to unmute?
We know that we have to start teaching content before kids are fluent. I worked with high school newcomers for about 8 years, and they bring a lot to the table. We need to connect with what they know already to attach language to that, and the content can be a way to build that bridge.
Exactly, yes. We can't wait until they have language to start honing in on the content. So you're exactly right. Any other comments on that? On this statement?
If I may,
Yes,
just
certainly.
hi. So this was actually a conversation that myself and the EL coordinator for our district, like we actually talked about, because sometimes making sure that you understand content in the context for which it is supposed to be given can be a struggle, not just for the learner, but also for that teacher. So an example that I thought about was if in our district, we have technical schools. And so there might be a word in a, like in a medical sciences part. And I'm thinking about like, if you use the word mode, M-O-D-E.
Yes.
Well, right. So if that student is thinking about like, well, this is a mode of how you would give this particular medicine. Let's just say you use that. Well, that kid might be thinking about, oh, well, I know mode because of math.
Right.
And in math, mode means the number that appears the most. Hopefully that's right. Anybody that's a math person, you can definitely fact check me. But if they are trying to make meaning from the context of math, it doesn't translate into that medical sciences piece. So even making sure that we work with teachers of the EL learners of saying like, hey, how can you break this down and make it relevant for the context with which you are instructing them? So that's what really stood out to me when I thought about context.
Very good. Yes, exactly. That's very true. Any other comments? That's great. All right, we'll move on to number 3. Whoops, number 3. It doesn't want to show up. Okay, the collaboration among stakeholders. The statement says systems move away from the idea that the language specialist alone should assume the sole responsibility for the student's language development. Take out a word there that stands out for you. A lot of alone and soul. And Nikki, you picked the word assume. Would you like to elaborate and let us know why you picked that word?
Sure. Well, we know what people say about assumptions. So we always want to steer clear of that anyways, but anytime, we're asking someone to assume something like that, that's not what we should be doing, whether it's students, us, for all of our reasons.
Yes. And we've been saying for many years that it shouldn't be our sole responsibility, that we are all teachers of language to all of our students. So I really like this statement and what the message that it's giving us for our schools. We'll move on to number 4, the functional approach to language. And this one says, language is used to create meaning for specific purposes in various contexts. Again, so we picked out a word that stands out to you for this one. Oops. It looks like we have a consistent consensus on creating meaning, and that word meaning is repeated over and over. Peggy, can you tell us why you picked create meaning?
You know, we probably all have a different reason for picking meaning. So my reason may be different than somebody else's, but that just kind of goes along with the whole idea of creating meaning for specific purposes, and kind of goes back to what the other
Esther?
Right mentioned about mode and all that, and just helping students know that language is part of their life, and when we use it, it creates meaning for their lives as well, for whatever content area they might be in, but they're adding it as a tool to their life and communicating.
That's great. Yes. Any other comments on this statement? I agree. Whatever we do in the classroom, it helps our students to solidify their learning if it has meaning to them, if we make the learning real for them. So, and to me, that's what this is saying. We have to make it real. We have to help them make those connections, make it functional. All right, I'm going to do something in a breakout room now. I'm going to copy this link and put it in the chat, and it's going to take you to a Jamboard, and I'm going to put you in some breakout rooms. We've got 20 people. I think I can put you in, I've got 10 rooms, 10 Jamboards, so I'm going to put you in 10 rooms so you'll get one partner, and we're going to put it in these 4 categories. So we have the 4 topics: equity for opportunity and access, integration of content and language, collaboration among stakeholders, and the functional approach. And each of the green sticky notes goes under one of those headings. So we're just going to do a sorting activity together. And let me set up these breakout rooms. It'll just give you it to work here. Breakout rooms. Actually, I think I am going to do 5 of them. We'll put 4 to a room. So there we go. And you should get an invite to join, and we'll come back in 5 minutes. Rob, I guess you can't do that, can you? You're on a phone.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just have to listen in.
So I can read some of these green ones to you, and you can tell me which one you think it goes under if you'd like.
Sure.
I think there are a couple of other people who are in the same boat as you. They haven't joined in either. So we can do this as a group here. So the first green note says making meaning within and across content areas. Where do you think?
And we're categorizing them into what?
Under those headings. Let's see here if I can find a room and all.
Hey, Cam, and we were needing the link. Or
sorry, there we go.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sorry.
Can you put me back in my, I can do join breakout room, can't I?
I think you can.
I can.
All right, let's see here. I'll go to a room here, Rob. So we have equity of opportunity and access, and anybody else that's still in the room here, you can call out if you want. Equity of opportunity and access, integration of content and language, collaboration among stakeholders, and that functional approach. So the first green note I have here says, help students realize that language proficiency includes collecting linguistic tools that function for different needs. I think that would be under equity of opportunity.
Under
integrating.
functional. Under functional.
Okay, we'll put that under functional. And then this one says EL and content teachers share unique fields of expertise. That'd be under equity of opportunity, integration of content, or
Collaboration.
I agree. Next one says, see language development as a social process of expanding what we can do with language.
Maybe that one's functional.
Yeah, put that under functional. And provide access for multilingual learners to rich grade level content. Providing access to rich grade level content. That's pretty easy.
Is that integration then?
Well, I was
Or
thinking.
I can't see. I can't
Equity.
remember. I can't remember all the categories. So,
Equity of opportunity, I think is what that one goes under.
all right,
Providing
good deal.
access.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so plan for systemic language development alongside academic demands. Equity for opportunity, integration of content and language, collaboration, or functional approach.
I think that one's integration of content and language.
There. Understand the connection between content and language. That one's pretty easy.
Integration of content.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, Cammy, I just got to the daycare to pick up my
Okay.
son, so I'm gonna turn off the. I'm
Sure.
gonna mute myself, and I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry to not be
No,
present.
no
fully
worries.
present.
No worries. No worries.
All right.
All good. Nicole, are you in the room? You want to help me sort these? Or Tanya? No.
Tammy,
Yes.
I am realizing, not until right now, that I think we did this wrong. We were supposed to take the one with our breakout number, weren't we?
Yes, but that's okay.
Jennifer and Rhonda.
I should have given clearer instructions.
For group 1. Oh my,
That's
Well,
fine. That's fine.
okay.
Well, they got everything done then. So
But look how
that's-
fast we were.
Yes, you guys are great.
For group 1, tell us that we were playing a trick on them.
I should have given clearer instructions. That's fine.
We were like, who's moving those things around?
Who's playing with our things?
That's hilarious.
All the while we were the intruders. Group 1, we apologize.
That's fine. You did fine. You got a lot done. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next screen that gives the correct answers. So, and the crazy thing is, it says correct answers, but I'm hoping that you found as you sorted these that a few of them might fit in more than one category. So take a look at what the correct answers are supposed to be. And let me know if you have any input on where some of them are. If you disagree, if you think it could fit in another category, let me know. What do you think?
We talked about the one in the second column, integration at the bottom,
Uh-huh.
because it talked about body language and that use of multi ways to express yourself. We
Uh-huh.
thought that that was functional.
It possibly could be. I could see that. And I think there are a few of these that could overlap into different categories very easily. Anyone else see something that they might question or that they think might fit in a different category?
Not something that necessarily fits in a different category, but the idea of WIDA moving to functional approach to language as a
One of their tools. Mhm.
When I was getting my certification, my professor at MU was starting into the research on systemic functional linguistics, and it was very theoretical then. It's nice to see it as something we can apply and actually use in instruction now.
I agree. I agree. I think it definitely has a place in what we do. All right. Well, looking at your charts that you did, a lot of you had very similar responses. So great job. I'll go back to this. So this is my next question for you. If the big ideas were to be implemented 100%, these 4 categories that we just looked at, equity of access and opportunity, integration of language and content, collaboration, that functional approach, if we implemented those at 100%, what would it look like in our classroom? So I'm going to send you back to breakout rooms. You may be with somebody different this time. And I have another link for you. Let me find it here. Not that one. There we go. This 100%. I'm going to share this link in the chat. Hopefully. There we go. There we are. And so I'm going to send you back to the breakout room. Your number of your breakout room is what note card you should write on. And if you would, pick your page and tell me what you think it would be if we implemented these with 100%. So let me do breakout rooms again real quick. Oops. Oh, weird. There you go. Hopefully you got an invite. All right, I think we're all back. Welcome back, everyone. So let's take a look and see what everyone put. So what if the big idea, what would it look like if it were implemented 100% in all of the classrooms? We've got Daisy and Kelly in group 1. Would someone like to share what you wrote?
Sure. I just said that, or we said, co-teaching would be available all day if possible. The EL students would be clustered in those classrooms. Any posted objectives would be written for both content and language development, and instruction would be differentiated to meet the needs of all the students.
Excellent, yes. All good points. So I'm having you read because we have a few people joining us by phone. So group 2, would someone from that group like to share what was written?
Yeah, we didn't get finished, but we said we would teach students
Sure.
typical language, organizational, and sentence patterns that they can expect to see in different content areas, as well as tier 3 vocabulary for those content areas. And then we would teach explicit lessons on narrative, explanation, and argument, along with other needed academic genres.
Ah, that sounds great too.
Functional, yeah.
Yes, very. All right. Oh, nothing in group 3. Group 4. Would you like to share out what you have, please?
We just said there would be more communication between all the teachers and students, and the whole building, there would be whole building collaboration with administration, the counselors, the ESL teacher, the classroom and content teacher, and students and parents.
Wouldn't that be perfect? I wish that could happen. That would be wonderful. All right. And group 5. Get someone to share out what you wrote.
We said the classroom would be noisy. There would be students having discussions as well as activities because of that representative language that WIDA has added. There would be word walls, anchor charts, labels, sentence frames. So it did a lot of visuals. Learning objectives and language objectives would be posted and referred to. There would be collaborative groups. Those could be similar language groups or not. Co-teachers, so there would be more than one adult in the classroom. Presentations and student-led activities, and project-based learning.
All of those are excellent, yes. So it's our charge to try to make this happen. So that's what we're working towards, getting these implemented as much as we can. We may not be able to do 100% right away, but that's what we'll work towards. And we did the share out already. So as we come to a close today, and with this activity, I would like to invite you to make a commitment. And that's the last thing here on the list. And I'm not going to have you go into breakout rooms for this, but I'm going to share the link in the chat. And I'd like for you to go in and look at each of these areas and think about what you can commit to doing to work us towards 100%. So what's something in the next month that you think you can commit to doing? So the sentence frames that I have here are, I commit to learning more about, and I've got an example here, how to create learning goals and skills for the new WIDA standards. Or I commit to implementing into my practice, and an example, collaboration with teachers so they see that students need to be engaged. Or I commit to explaining to others, to all teachers, that all teachers are responsible for all students. So think about this for a little bit. What in the next month could you commit to doing? And I've given you lots of space there to write. So you can start on it now if you'd like to, and we'll come back to it in a little bit, but please write something there. When you write it down, that helps you solidify that you're going to actually commit to doing it. So I invite you to write something in those, one of those spaces that you might commit to doing. All right. So next month, again, as I said, we'll look at the key language uses, and we'll look a little bit at the language expectations as well as the proficiency level descriptors. So those are all part of section 2. We're going to take kind of a 10,000 foot view, because next month we're also going to have special presenters from the Missouri Writing Project that are going to talk to us a little bit about how we can use writing throughout the year as a form of assessment for our students, and how to make it fun for our students and not drudgery. So I'm looking forward to them coming and speaking with us. So we'll have them presenting at the beginning of our meeting next time, and then we'll do a little bit of the section 2 work and an overview next month. So I have some optional homework for you. Follow up on your commitment. So whatever commitment you put in that box, try to follow throughout this month. Review those big ideas in section 1. And if you would, pre-read the new key language uses, because those have changed. So take a look at those in section 2 of the WIDA standards. And we'll talk about those more in depth next time. I wanted to make you aware of some upcoming PD. We will continue, like I said, to have our check-ins every month, the 4th Monday at 3:45. And the link that you used today should get you in each time. There was a place to check that you want to go to each month. You can sign up for all of them at once, and that I hope to see you here each month. We don't have a meeting in December. And as I said, Missouri Writing Project Network will be with us next month. And you can find the link to sign up for all of our PD on the curriculum calendar, and this link takes you there. You can also get to professional development on my ELD webpage on the DESE website under the tab that says professional development. And I want to put in another plug for the Federal Programs Conference. There's the registration link and the brochure. Several of our male personnel are going to be presenting on various topics like writing a LOW plan, and then some of the resources we have available. And we're going to talk a little bit about using your data. There are several other things that you'll find more information in that brochure about what's going on. Some other people are also presenting on ELD topics. So that's available in the brochure. This is a link to that professional learning that I talked about last time, or it's not the link, it's just more information about, you'll find it on the professional learning calendar on the curriculum page as well. The literacy professional learning for October will be our ELD team. So our male people are going to help me present something during that meeting. Haven't quite decided what we're going to talk about yet, but that will be the October, and that is on the DESE calendar as well. These meetings are kind of like ours. They only last for an hour and they begin at 3:45. Okay. And then I want to remind you that our male specialists are there in your region and very happy to help you with any needs that you might have. And please email them with your questions if you have them. And if they don't have answers, they're always quick to check with me or whoever can help at DESE. So we can get you your answers really easily through these email addresses. They're all wonderful people to work with. So I'm going to stop there and ask if you have any questions for me today. And I'm going to put this link to, try to put this to the evaluation. If you would please fill that out for me. My boss likes to know that I'm doing a good job. But I'm going to open it up to any questions you might have. And as always, you can contact me through these different avenues. I'm happy to work with you too.
I have a question about the can-dos.
Yes, Daisy. Daisy.
They're currently still following the 2012.
Yes.
Have they said when those might be updated?
Well, at this point, they aren't talking about changing the can-do descriptors. They're leaving those as is, but with the new standards, they may revisit them. But
well, because currently they follow the key uses.
Yes.
And since they've changed the key use,
Yes.
You would update them, but okay.
Yeah, somebody brought that up at our last meeting, and I don't think that they'd noticed that until someone brought it up. But at this point, they are leaving them as is, but they're talking about revisiting them later.
Okay.
Right now, I think they're trying to just get people used to the new standards and not push out anything else new at this time. Well, with their new secure portal as well, that's been a learning curve for a lot of people getting into that new portal. So if you haven't gone and looked at the new secure portal, it's a little bit different. If you need help with that, you can contact me. I have access to a video and everything that can give you some ideas on the changes that have been made. Any other questions? This is a good time to ask. And if you think of something later, you are always welcome to put questions on our note taker. I do go back and look at it during the month. So I put a space here on the side if you want to put a note in or at the bottom. And I will be happy to go back and look at that. If there are no questions, that's it for today. And please join us next month when we have the Missouri Writing Project as our special guest. Thank you.
Tammy.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Great to see everyone. Thanks for your
Tammy.
participation. Yes.
Bye. Adios.
See you later.
Is that newcomer class geared more towards secondary?
I think it's just an overall. She
Is
did.
it similar to the old one? Because I did the other one.
Did you?
Mhm.
It's kind of just an overview on how to work with newcomers today. Like they said, we talked about how to make them feel welcome and why it's important to get as much information about them. Things that if you've been in this for a while, you probably already know.
Okay.
And I don't know, I haven't had a chance to look at the next two sessions if they get in a little bit deeper. I think this session one was an overview. These are things you need to do that you need to have in place. And we talked about having a checklist of things that you should do to get to know your students and such as that.
Okay. Well, I signed up for, I forget what the other one is that starts in October. So I didn't want to
Yes.
get overwhelmed. So
Yeah. And the one
Probably.
that's, the one that starts in October is that 15-week course, and it's self-paced. So
Yeah.
they only have one face-to-face meeting for that one. Hopefully it's good. We're trying something new this year.
we'll see.
We'll see. Thanks
right.
for joining.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.